Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start applying our Bondo to our car, and if anybody tells you that I don't know what I'm doing, tell them to stick it in their ass. Bondo is made for all types of surfaces, and one of them includes fiberglass. The Bondo that I'm going to use is a brand called HOWTO Lightweight Gold. This is awesome stuff. I suggest that you check it out. It's a money saver on top of being a high quality product. So check it out and see if it'll work for you. And for all you guys doing metal cars that think that you can't put Bondo on metal, well, that's how I've been doing it all my life. But I do want to show you that HOWTO actually advertises direct to metal. Wow, I can't believe that. And you got all these zombies out there telling you can't put Bondo on metal.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
So we got this area right here that we're going to work on. We're going to go ahead and try to get this area as well at the same time. But for right now, let's concentrate on this. We're going to try to do this in sections. And the reason that I want to do this is because there's a dip in the fiberglass. You can't see that, but when you take your hand and you rub it, you can feel it. There's also a little imperfection here, and I want to get that too. So I'm going to take my tape off. And then what I'm going to do is take some 36 grit. This is actually a D.I.Y. sanding paper stick-on, and it is 36 grit. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to rough the surface up of our fiberglass where we're going to put that. Now, you don't want to use a D.I.Y. sander on this with 36 grit, because what will happen is you'll just create a bigger, we'll call it a dent or an imperfection, okay, a concave. So always when you prep your fiberglass up, do it by hand, just like that. All right, fiberglass cars are going to be 60 to 75% hand done. That means everything you're going to do is going to be by hand. You're going to try to eliminate using D.I.Y. sanders and air files unless it's necessary. Now we will use air tools on this, but to finish it out, we're going to be doing it by hand. Now, that's actually a lot of Bondo right there, so what I'm going to do, just in case, I'm going to go ahead and prep this area up right here as well. And then even right here, we're going to have to put some, so I'll go ahead and hit that. And this is where our seam is glued in right here. So now we'll go ahead and mix our Bondo up. You want to make sure it's mixed thoroughly. Once again, this is a 1961 Corvette. that we're working on, and it's a classic automobile, and it is a beautiful car. So we want to restore history here. This is American history we're working on. Okay, so I got my Bondo mixed up, and now we're ready to go ahead and spread and fill. And now we can start spreading our Bondo. And unlike metal, we are not going to do a filler coat. If this was a dent on metal and we were filling in, we'd go ahead and put it on there really thick and use that as a filler coat. But on this, being fiberglass, we're not doing that. We're going to try to finish it the best we can to get it to fill properly. Now what I'm filling in here is a factory imperfection. I'm not filling in a dent that was created by an accident. So I want this car looking nice. So I'm going to fill in everything that I think is bad and needs repaired. And then now we'll go ahead and fill this in right here, just like this. Goes all the way over to here. And this is kind of a hard fix right here because you got this roll in it, this curve that goes like that. I'm going to go ahead and put some right here because this is where the seam is, just like that. You can see how nice and creamy this Bondo is, this U-pole Bondo. So if you are working on metal cars or fiberglass, I suggest that you check it out. It's very good stuff, and it's a money saver. Very, very reasonably priced, you might say. So we'll let that dry and then we'll come back to it. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and start prepping up other areas on the vehicle and filling those in so I can continuously keep working instead of sitting around and waiting, if you know what I'm saying. Alright, the Bondo's dry, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Durablock dowel. This is made by Durablocks, and it's kind of a semi-flexible, but it's a dowel. And I got 36 grit on this dowel, and we got a groove right here. We got to get that sanded, so I'm going to take my dowel and sand that down. And another thing about getting that, you got to hit that Bondo just at the right time, because if you don't, it'll get hard, and then it's hard to sand. And you can see how that Bondo sands really, really nice. I really like that U-pole gold. And that feels really good right there. So we had a low spot here and over here, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute. And if you look at our road map, you can see this is solid Bondo. See right here where I sanded through, and then it's a little bit solid looking right here. So it was low here and here. Now what I'll do is I'll hand sand that with 36 grit, and then we'll come back and get 80 on it and finish it out. But before I do that, I want to get right here a little bit more. And don't forget, we got this right here we got to get. So remember that block that I was using for blocking out the vehicle by hand with 80 grit? Well, I'm going to go ahead and continue to keep using that block on our Bondo using 36. this area was wobbly. Remember, it had imperfections in it. Waves was right here and right here. And then we had this section here and a little area right there. Now I'll go ahead and get this. I like that. We're going to go ahead and take our dowel one more time and get this lip. And this area right here is ready for a very thin coat of polyester putty. We're going to block it down with 80 grit and it's done. Now in this area right here, this is going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to go ahead and use an air tool on this. And what it is, it's our 6-inch Bondo Buster. The only thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to break down the glaze coat and then I'll come back and sand it by hand. So when using an air tool with fiberglass, you want to be very, very cautious and careful. If you notice, I was turning down the air on my D.I.Y sander. I didn't want to use a heavy force on it, and I wanted to just break that down just enough to where it took the glaze off, kind of formed it out, and we can go ahead and block it. You can also see down in this area right here, there's a high spot because you can see Bondo here, and bare fiberglass right here. So we might have to add some more Bondo to this area. Let's block it out. Let's see what happens. So once again, I have my hand block. It's a nice, super smooth, hard surface. It does have a little bit of flex to it, as you can see. And I got 36 grit. We're going to go ahead and sand this down, and then we're going to test it and see what we got to do. Okay, let's go ahead and clean that off and see what we got here. Okay, so this here feels like it's too high. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate some of the Bondo down there. That feels a lot better. It feels low right here. I think I'm going to add some more Bondo in this area here. So right here in this area right here, it seemed like it was a little bit low. This is where the fender curve ends and it turns out to be flat. So I'm going to fill that in right there. Just like that. And then hopefully that will fix our issue of what we're trying to accomplish here, and that's to get the wave, the factory wave that was in the body out. So I'll go ahead and repeat my process on these two imperfections here, and then of course we'll go ahead and repeat our process up here. And then I'll just keep working my way around the rear end of the car, getting all of the whatever you want to call them out, and get a primer ready. Okay, we're going to go ahead and repeat our process on our imperfection here. Remember, I had to add more because it was pretty bad. So let's go ahead and knock it down, block it out, and it should be done. real tight right here. I'm going to go ahead and use my air file to knock that down. Much better, I like that. Alright, we went ahead and filled that imperfection in. And some of these things can be tricky on fiberglass, but you just got to take your time and just keep working at it. So that's ready for primer. We're not going to do anything else to it. We'll let the filler primer fill that in, and then we'll block it out to perfection. I've got this done over here. We went ahead and did this and that one there. The deck lid is done. You can see where the high and low spots were on this. That's where the low spots were. And we're just working around getting them done. That's all we're doing. Doing fiberglass is totally different than doing metal. So you've got to really be careful. Another thing is when you're working on these old fiberglass cars like this, they don't have a gel coat on them. So every time you sand them, you're sanding the fiberglass itself, and that stuff gets all over your skin. So that's something else that you want to watch out for. We should have this back end done today, and hopefully starting on the doors to get those done. Well, we got the back half of the car completed. I did do the lower rockers, but if you look right here, we got damage, and I got to tend to that when we get to it. So we got all the back end done, all the body work's been done to the back of the vehicle, and the back is ready for primer. But as we move forward, what happened is on this side of the car, all the clips broke off. Every single one of them was rotted and pretty much stuck on there, and I had to cut them off. So when I cut them off, and you can't tell here, you can see all the little holes. I hope you can see them. But when I cut them off, my cutting wheel had hit the fiberglass, and this is what I'm talking about right here. So we will have to go ahead and fill those in as we do the bodywork to the car. Now, the way that I'm looking at this car, and I could be wrong, but if you look right here, you can see how this fiberglass goes all the way up. And it looks like it goes around right here. Now, I'm not too sure. I'm just trying to follow this road map of this vehicle. And then if we come over here, let's go ahead and move that. We can see a lot of action going on right in this area coming around like this. So I'm wondering if this car got totaled out at one time and somebody took a front nose of another Corvette and spliced it into this car. Because if we look up under the fender wells of the vehicle, we're going to see massive fiberglass work that has been done over, I don't think we're going to be able to see it. Let me position my flashlight, and then we're going to try to get the camera at an angle where we can actually see what's going on in here. And if we look up in here, look at this. You can see all of this massive, just god-awful fiberglass work that has been done. Do you see that right there? And it goes up into here, and I mean, it's just, and then over in this area. So I'm just speculating that possibly, and I don't, like I said, I don't know 100% for sure, but possibly the front end of this car was totaled out and they put a new front clip on it, or a used one from somewhere else. if you look right there where the bumper actually fits into the slot, you can see that major work has been done to this area, which we will have to refiberglass that definitely, for sure. And yeah, so the front end of this car has got a lot of work that needs to be done to it. That's where the major work is going to be done to this vehicle to make it right. So before we can proceed to work on the front end of this car, we actually need that stainless trim that runs down the sides here, because the fenders on both sides seems like it's got a little bit of a buckle. Now, I'm not going to say for sure that's what's wrong with it, but when we get the stainless trim in, that's going to tell us the story of what's going on with these fenders. And it's basically in the same area on both sides. So we'll see what happens when we get that. In the meantime, we got our hood that we got to deal with, and we got imperfections throughout the hood. Now, a lot of the imperfections on this hood can be cured with the primer that we're going to use on it. And when we get to the primer part of this car, I'm going to show you that. On fiberglass, you really don't call them dents because you didn't hit it and dent it. It's an imperfection. So on this area right here, there's a big imperfection here. And then as we run our hands down the rest of it, I noticed that there's some damage in the front of the hood right here. And if we focus in on this area right here, you can see where the damage is to the front lip of the hood itself. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a piece of 36 grit, and we're going to scuff that down, rough it up right there on that edge. And we don't want to sand this edge too much, because that's like, you know, you start sanding this down and then you start making dips in it. We don't want to do that. We just want to rough that up. And then we'll also find our imperfection here. Where was it? And that's the thing about fiberglass. One minute you feel it, the next minute you don't. There's an imperfection right here. And then of course there's a big one right here. And this looks like somebody sanded that too much, or something happened when they painted it the last time, and they kind of put their imperfection in it. Let's get our Bondo over here, let's mix it up, and let's go ahead and fill her in. This is very important on a fiberglass car, to find the imperfections throughout the vehicle before you prime it. Bondo works great on fiberglass. You don't have to use epoxy primer. You don't have to use any type of sealers before you apply your Bondo, but you do have to rough the surface up to a degree where the Bondo will bite and adhere to the fiberglass, and by using your 36 grit, it exactly does that situation. So we got our Bondo mixed up really nice and creamy, making sure we don't have no streaks in it. And then we're going to go ahead and get our imperfections. There was one right here, and over here we're going to go ahead and fill this in, just like this. Concentrating on filling the center in and feathering out the edges, just like this. There you go. We're going to do the same thing right here, concentrating on filling the center in and feathering out the edges. See how I'm doing that? So we got a thick center and feathered out edges. And then of course we got the front of the vehicle right here, where the nose was messed up on the hood. We'll go ahead and get that. And where that low spot was right here, I'll go ahead and put a little bit more right there. And we'll clean that edge off. Now, another reason you don't want to sand the edges real heavy is because you are going into the fiberglass, and what that will do, that will create air pockets and you won't see them till after you paint the hood. So be very careful sanding edges on fiberglass. Since I hit that with my sander, I'm going to go ahead and do this, because if there's any pinholes or air pockets, I want to make sure that I fill them in. And then before we paint it, what I will do is I will go around the whole hood of this situation, and I'll make sure that there's no pinholes or air pockets visible all the way around.
Thanks for watching D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop till you know everything.